the supernatural.
Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade, a full past audio drama, for free at spiritblade.com.
Pre-show music. This is the pre-show music. Pre-show music playing strong. Pre-show music playing long. This is the pre-show music, so you can relax and have a good time while you wait for pictures to appear. Pre-show music, it's the best thing in the world. Pre-show music, tell me what rhymes with world. Pre-show music here. Everybody sing pre-show music. This is the pre-show music. Pre-show music playing strong. Pre-show music playing long. This is the pre-show music, so you can relax and have a good time while you wait for pictures to appear. Pre-show music, it's the best thing in the world. Pre-show music, tell me what rhymes with world. Pre-show music here. Hey! All right. Okay, am I on? Am I working? Is everything functioning like it's supposed to? I always just get everything set up and then just start singing into the void. And I never know, especially with the delay, what's going on. And is that camera a little bit low? I mean, I know I'm going to be hunching a little bit. This is going to be, I always try to test it with my gaming position. This is like my gaming position. Alright, because when I'm up here, this seems a little bit low for me. Hi, Scribbling Scribe. Hi, Adam. Hello, Rugged Warrior. Thank you, Adam. All seems functioning, he says. I'm going to be, as is somewhat traditional, maybe not traditional, but frequent enough to almost be, I'm going to be finishing up my dinner while I start the stream. It's 5 o'clock here, and I always feel like starting it now and doing a full. I like to do 4 hours at least, and then because I only do these quarterly. I used to do them 6 hours, but then I reduced it to 4 hours. But like, it's kind of like the best time I noticed for people to show up was between 5 and 9. But it means I gotta gobble down my dinner pretty fast. Anyway, this is, for those of you that listen to the Christian Geek Central podcast and are following along with my weekly waistline endeavor, where I've been trying to lose 6 inches off my waistline since, I want to say August of 2019. This is one of the little recipes that I experimented with and found that I like. It's a type of really thin crust pizza. The crust is a, I can't remember the brand, like Extreme Healthy, I want to say, is words that are on the thing. It's just a tortilla, a high fiber tortilla, so that the net carbs are really low. It's like 4 net carbs. And then I put pizza sauce and mozzarella cheese and then whatever toppings I want on top of that. Put it in our toaster oven, and probably it takes, I don't know, less than 10 minutes. I want to say 6 to 8 minutes. And then one of these bad boys comes out, and obviously very thin, so it's not like filling. So but with most of my meals, I'm starting out with a big old bowl of something green, usually green peas. And then, yeah, I get to enjoy this. Really nice. Rugged Warriors is taking a break from playing Horizon Zero Dawn on Ultimate Hard Difficulty. Man. Well, my hat's off to you. I would not... I don't think I would enjoy that experience. So, hey Gabriel Stinson, thank you for your email earlier today. I did see it, I just didn't have time to reply to it, but I'm sure I'll get back to you on Monday morning. But thank you very much for that. Francisco Reen says, wish I could be watching tonight, but have to grocery shop, then go to play Gloomhaven with men in my small group. Hey, that sounds awesome. Especially when you're not Peter Franson, because most geeks other than Peter Franson really dig Gloomhaven. Hugely respected game, really brilliantly designed. So have a freaking blast. Yeah. So tonight's live stream has a bit of a theme, but it's a mystery theme. Well, first off, I have to say, false advertising in the little bumpers that I put up this week, advertising this live stream. I showed a bunch of, like, game CD cover, whatever, not CD covers, but you know what I mean, like, case covers. And two of the games that I showed on there, I am not planning on playing tonight. And those two games are Titan Quest and Final Fantasy Legend. So if you were, I know those are kind of niche games, and so I'm sorry if you were like, oh man, that'll be cool to see this niche game. I changed my mind just last night and swapped in a couple of different games because I wanted to play games that I really was in the mood for right now. And when I put together this live stream concept couple months ago, as I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? I don't quite want to do the usual type of live stream that I do at this time of year. Sometimes it's a retro stream. I didn't really want to play retro games. And I was kind of like, on the day that I planned the stream, I was in a bit of a funk, and I was like, well, I just want to do something I know I'm going to enjoy, you know? And I can enjoy a live stream playing games that are not like really what I want to play, but the way that's enjoyable is if I really lean into that and play games that I really dislike and I'm frustrated with, or I really want to like, you know? If games that I just kind of feel meh about, that's not going to generate from me what you want, I don't think. So, in that continuing spirit last night, I swapped in a couple of different games, which we'll get to as the night goes on. But the theme of the night is RPGs, broadly speaking. I'm calling this my Defining RPGs live stream, but it's a bit of a trick title. If you watched the bumper very carefully, I displayed 3 different versions of the phrase Defining RPGs live stream, and where you put the quotation marks really changes what that's about. Because are we going to be defining what an RPG is during this live stream? Or am I going to be playing RPGs that define the genre? Or is there some other kind of like meaning? Well, I don't know. It's kind of a trick title that I'm not committing to any of those things. We can sure talk about the term RPG. I have a lot of opinions on that. There have been many opinions over the years about what makes a video game RPG. So I would love to hear from any of you watching live. Just jump into the chat if you're not there already. And I'd love to just throughout the night get your thoughts. You can give random shout outs to favorite RPGs of recent years or of yesteryear. You can talk about the things that, like some of your definitive RPGs, like what really defines the genre for you. We can all kinds of things that we can talk about. But I'm going to start by booting up some Divinity Original Sin. Adam Calling says, you have gotten me interested in RPGs over the years. Well, that's cool. Hopefully you've enjoyed some as a result. I know that you were experiencing some frustration with the Mass Effect games, specifically with, like, I think the lock-picking mechanic they have, or the code breaking, or whatever is the gel stuff. If I remember correctly, there was a PS3 issue going on with that, but it's funny because I typically think of, I mean, it just shows like how many varieties of geek there are, because I think of RPGs as kind of like, well, that's kind of a given. Most geeks gravitate toward RPGs, right? And of course, I've found over the years that that's not necessarily true at all, just interacting with some of you guys. So I'm glad that I could put you onto the genre a little bit. Hey, Crawling in My Skin. You've got some X's at the beginning and the end, but I'm not going to pronounce those. I think that would just be too cumbersome to say out loud. XX Crawling in My Skin XX. I'll just say Crawling. Maybe I'll call you Crawling. Crawling writes, would you say RPG games are your favorite genre? Yes. That is correct. I've always been a fan of RPGs. They were kind of like, they're the reason that I have played video games over the years. Because when I first started out, all we had was, Super Mario Brothers. And I'm just not good with hand-eye coordination. My reflex skills are poor. And I have always struggled with attaching my performance to my self-worth, and so it's very difficult for me to fail in games or in life. I've been working through that for years, and maybe, you can certainly make an argument that playing games is kind of a safe way to grow in that area, but way too many times, at the end of a night, I'm like, I don't want to do something that, I don't want to grow in my character right now. I've been struggling to grow in my character with all the crap I've been dealing with today. I just want to unwind, but RPGs, like starting with Dragon Warrior, as it was called originally in the States.
Yes, we've got to keep our hopes high, but our defenses even higher. We shouldn't meet like this again.
My kingdom for a dry shirt!
Above all, above anything you might hear, I love you.
I haven't got a hole in my
And I will
pocket,
be.
have I?
You guys seeing this? You overhearing this conversation here?
Your mother won't like to hear a human's been fighting.
These two at the fire were trying to put me off. Sorry, I got distracted. I turned the voices on, and that was for the sake of doing a stream. I didn't want to read all the dialogue, but I usually keep the voices off. It's very, very distracting. Anyway, I gotta take my headphones off for a second here. Everybody's talking at once.
Justify my man to a beast like you.
So let me finish what I was saying before. Like the original Final Fantasy on the NES, these were games that suddenly I could play that, as long as I thought carefully, as long as I made the right careful choices, I didn't have to have quick reflexes. I didn't have to have fast decision making even. I certainly didn't have to have good reflex skills or the patience for dying and repeating material again and again and again, And so RPGs, video game RPGs, before paper and pencil RPGs, were a way that I could play in these imaginary worlds and not be thwarted and frustrated, So I've always gravitated toward RPGs, and for the longest time I thought they were the only kind of game I would ever be able to play. But in more recent years, of course, action games have introduced multiple difficulty modes and other conceits, so that a gamer like me can get through them many times. But
I bet his skull would make a lovely goblet for Jarl's mead. Bloody key.
Gabriel Stinson says, I think because of you, I'm going to give Divinity one more try.
I say you're so
Yeah, I've been talking about this game on and off on the podcast for a while now.
squatting over the latrine.
And I really had trouble enjoying it for years. For years, I just played little bits of it at a time. I would install it, play it for another hour, I'd say, oh yeah, that's why I hate this game, and then I would uninstall it. But in between that, I'm hearing all the time how, oh, everyone loves Divinity Original Sin, and oh my gosh, Larian Studios can do no wrong, They say that more of the second game, but now these guys have been handed the keys to the kingdom, and they're making Baldur's Gate 3,
Dunce probably lost
and they're doing it in this turn-based mode that I'm like, dang it, why not real-time with pause? That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm not getting it.
Thought you said it was
But-
me who pocketed it.
For a combination of reasons and the recent buzz about Baldur's Gate 3 being among them, I decided I'm going to go back. I'm going to see if I can figure out how Peter Franson can conceivably enjoy this game. The main issue I had was I was running into combat that was too technical or tactical, I should say. More tactical than I wanted to at the end of a workday. And what I didn't realize was, as much as they talk about choice being so important and just such a big part of the game, well, I know what they mean by that when they say choice. But I think it's ironic that if you don't play this game in a pretty specific way and take advantage of specific things, you can have a much harder experience. And you have to kind of know what those things are that the designers of the game want you to take advantage of. And even on the lowest difficulty, which is what I'm playing on, it can be more tactical than I want it to be. So anyway, I'm at the point now where I was on a roll with this game for weeks at a time, and I was playing a bunch of like side quests and getting a bunch of loot and gold and stuff, so that I could be over-leveled as much as possible. And I wanted to only take on quests that were my level or lower than me, so it wouldn't be pretty stress-free. You know, I'd still have to pay attention to my choices I'm making, but other than that, that's probably going to be okay. Well, I've run out of options, except for in this town right now is what I'm exploring. It's a new town I just came to, and I'm hoping that just through going around and talking to people, I can get access to some quests that are, where am I? That are level 14 or lower. Because everything else that I've gone and explored on the map, and the world map, is like 15, 16, maybe even higher than that. And so I've just made marks on the world map. Let me see if they'll even show up here. Like right here, level 16, that's a level 16 monster encounter. Same with here, so trying to explore in this area is just not right for me right now. So in all likelihood, I mean, I don't have much reason to think that I'm going to have level 15 or 14 encounters here, but sometimes when you're in towns, you can take on non-combat quests that can still gain you experience, and so that's kind of what I'm hoping I'm in for right now, even though it's not as exciting, I suppose, for you guys, but... Alright. Rugged Warrior asks, I'm going to answer just a couple questions, then I'll get into this. Because this was an interesting exchange between these two characters. Rugged Warrior asks, did you watch the State of Play yesterday? I did. I was in the back of my mind thinking I would make some content about it yesterday, but I watched it, and I mentioned this on a podcast that goes up for this weekend. There was nothing in there that interested me personally as a gamer, and I really didn't see anything that naturally... Maybe if I really forced it, but nothing that really naturally stuck out to me as something that I felt compelled to talk about from a biblical perspective. You know, because with my content, I'm not just trying to create content that's just based on my interest as a geek, but also that will hopefully be helpful or thought-provoking for all kinds of geeks as they're navigating different kinds of entertainment. And I just didn't think there was any springboards really for that kind of thing, and so they just kind of... all right. And as a side note, I'm kind of surprised and disappointed that Sony has not pulled the trigger on announcing the price. You know, I would think that would happen just weeks from now, maybe sometime in August. Maybe Xbox is going to do their thing in August. Maybe they'll pull the trigger first on price, and then Sony will come right back. You know, that's when, in my mind, E3 really can come to a close, is when we have that information about price, because then we can properly compare and evaluate these and consider what our purchase will be, since most gamers will just buy one of the two consoles if they buy either of them, at least for now. Some other gamers will eventually get both, maybe. Some will never get both, you know. But that's such an important part of the conversation. Let's see here. Roleplay Cafe... Hello and welcome says, I spent 100 hours in Divinity 2 and have Original Sin 1 and 2, but haven't dug into them yet. I did enjoy my time with Divinity 2, but it did have a quirky sense of humor. I tried, let's see, Divinity, which one do I have? Oh no, I'm thinking of Sacred. I did buy one of the Divinity games on PC. And I thought it was kind of interesting, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to play with a gamepad, using a gamepad UI, so... I suspect he continues, both Original Sins do as well, meaning to have a quirky sense of humor. Do you care for the humor yourself? It takes a very specific kind of humor to really get chuckles out of me. So I am not a good indicator of what people will think is funny. It's just been whatever. I mean, I like to have the voices turned off. The voice performances are fine. But they're nothing that's... It's still that voice actor-y style that kind of overdone kind of thing. And in my head, it's always more interesting when it's much more subtle, much more subdued. And I can also get through the text a lot faster and still apply in my imagination inflection that I find interesting or appropriate. I can do that all much faster in my head, so... Okay, so these guys were just talking, and when I came in, which was before this save that I loaded, they were fighting, they didn't want to talk to me, and then I overheard them talking, and they are actually in love with each other. This is an orc and a human. I assume I mean, with orcs, I guess you don't want to be presumptuous, but that looks like a male orc, and this is certainly looks like a male human, so,
Quit your sneaking around, you snake. Where'd you say you come from again? And how do we know you ain't a spy?
let's see here. What are the two of you doing here?
I can ask the same of you, small bones. I don't go stopping up to you in the ballet class demanding to know which pirouette you're doing next, do I?
And this is one of those RPGs where, yes, there's choices in dialogue, in some key moments, but almost all times you want to get through every dialogue option that person offers, or you could miss out on a quest. And for someone like me that needs every quest I can get my hands on to level up, you know, I kind of feel obligated to follow every dialogue path I can. I overheard you whispering together. You're in love, are you not? It's not how Vincent would say it, but whatever.
That's disgusting. A tiny pink-fleshed human and an orc like myself. Why, I've got eyes for the great Gratilda alone.
Holy. We can't hide forever.
Oh, this is a weird thing, but I don't want to forget. Let's see, do you have anything I can buy? Oh, nothing that I want to get from him. You can buy from almost anybody in the game, which means that if you're used to RPGs that have like shops and stuff, it can be really easy to miss out on people who will train you, people that will sell you great stuff. You gotta remember in this game, everybody's a vendor, basically. Kind of weird.
I get all the peace I need from serving the good end.
I'd what? You think this stranger knows anything about the two of us, old freak? I tell you now, that twerp don't know a thing.
Oh no, trade with you. No. Oh, well, it's just one guy, okay.
Enough, Foley. Enough! Surely this stranger has no reason to put us in harm's way. We're all sworn immaculates here, are we not? There are certain secrets that perhaps we, beneath the goddess's eye, may share in good faith.
Well, tell me your story.
You know damn well I wouldn't.
First thing you have to understand, we orcs aren't made to love it all. Nah, we're born devoted to our queen. And to her we turn all our intentions. To seek fulfillment outside the queen's graces, well, it's a treason committed only once in a red moon among we orcs. And the penalty's a terrible death. When we first took the village, I couldn't tell Orfrig apart from the rest of the pink little ants scurrying about. A human was a human, as far as I was concerned.
As for me, Ulor stood out right away. The curve of his horns, his regal bearing. He was fascinating. I'd never seen an orc as anything but an enemy, but suddenly I couldn't keep my eyes off this great green brute. I suppose my staring was rather conspicuous.
You suppose? Oh, I thought you were aiming to slit my throat the way you were watching me.
I couldn't help myself. It was almost supernatural. But when Ulor marched over to me, club in hand, to address my strange behaviour, something happened.
I'm gonna run and get my other pizza real fast.
Not the first sight, if you can believe it. I came over aiming for a fight, but all I found in Ulfric's eyes was, well, whatever it was, it hasn't left me since.
What are you doing, lingering around here anyway, human?
Gratilda doesn't tell you a thing, does she? We're waiting to fight the final battle. The time
Big ugly brute making me do his dirty work. I bet his skull would make a lovely goblet for Jarl's mead. Bloody key. Who could trust a big stupid oaf like you?
Alright, I'm back.
Like that? I say you're so stupid.
Please, if you've any mind for sparing two fellows a terrible fate, you'll swear to keep our secret to yourself. We've committed no sin greater than experiencing a love as sweet and pure as any. But if we were discovered, it would mean certain death for us both.
It's always interesting to me to see kind of how issues of human sexuality are handled in geek entertainment. I think the way we respond to them needs to be, considerate and recognize that there are, real
Making me do his dirty work. I bet he's
strong feelings and experiences that we haven't had ourselves associated with these issues and people that are thinking about them or that have them as a major component in their lives. But here we say we've considered no sin greater than experiencing love as sweet and pure as any. But if we were discovered, it would mean certain death for us both. So it's pretty extreme here. It's like it's not sin; it's just love, and if we were discovered, it would mean certain death for both of us.
I get all the views.
So these are my choices. We swear it indeed will not see anyone harmed for daring to love. So if I don't tell anyone, my dialogue choice is to not just not tell anyone, but to actually also affirm their pursuit of this relationship with each other. And the second option is we simply cannot make any such promises. This may well prove valuable information. I would like about 4 other nuanced options aside from these two. These are very polarizing options. Now maybe they do that to, well, almost every time you get a choice like this, it's 2 choices. So when games like this talk about all the choice that they offer, I'm like, sometimes there is a big gap missing in the choices that I would really like to have. And so let's see here. Well, my characters, there's 2 things when I'm playing a game like this. I'll explore choices for a couple different reasons. One of them, in this case, would be to roleplay. Like, I've decided who my characters are, what they value, and I go according to that. Other times, I'm just curious what the developers are going to say, what the writers are going to say. And so I usually try to create character types that are very flexible in terms of what they would do. Like, I could justify a number of different choices coming from them so that I can be true to their character and also explore the writing. Now, just this afternoon, I got into this. I've actually played through this conversation before, so I kind of know where this is going, but I still want to kind of walk through this. So, I don't want to. I don't want to affirm their pursuit of this relationship, but neither do I necessarily plan to turn them in. There's just a whole lot of other options I wish I had. But I'll go with this one. We simply cannot make any such promise. This may well prove valuable information. Well, that could sound sinister, but maybe he doesn't mean it in a sinister way. I don't know. This is Vincent, and the way I play him in here is he's going to be pretty judgmental and sinister. But even so, I'm not planning on doing, turning them in. I just don't want to swear that I'm not going to say anything, and also affirm this relationship at the same time. So, can't make that promise.
We simply cannot make any such promise. This may well prove valuable information.
Now, if you've listened to the Spirit Blade trilogy, you know that that's nothing like what Vincent would sound like. He's going to be much closer to this. So this is one reason I had the voices turned off. And Elderast, the voice for him is even worse. The performers are doing fine, but worse for my purposes, my intention of who the characters are. So Elderast, you have to make these 2 main characters that you make from scratch. And when there's a decision point like this, they can either agree or disagree. If you don't change the settings correctly, these choices will be randomly made for you based on their alignment. It's out of your control. So if you're setting up a game of Divinity Original Sin 1, take note of your choices when you're starting up your game. because you want to have control of this. What good will this bit of gossip do? Of course we can swear to keep mum. No, that's a little closer to an option like I would have liked. But that's not what Vincent said. He said something different. But Eldoras says that as option 1. Indeed, we hold no allegiance to a pair of sneaks. I don't want them to fight because I don't want them to disagree because they're going to play a rock, paper, scissors game and then one of them will randomly win. So I want them to agree. So indeed, we hold no allegiance to a pair of sneaks. That's true. We don't hold allegiance to anybody. Eldoras and Vincent, not the way these guys operate.
Indeed, we hold no allegiance to a pair of sneaks.
That's how it is it? Well, small bones, it's a shame we can't trust you to keep your mouth shut. I suppose we'll just have to take your tongue to be sure.
Okay, so that's the only other option. They don't try to bargain with me. They don't want to talk about it anymore. No nuance. It's just, you gotta affirm and keep your mouth shut, or we're gonna fight you to the death.
Wargrove wagged his head disapprovingly.
Look at that.
How you can put pure practicality or two creatures is beyond him.
Trust me, buddy, this pair will be better off apart. These deluded loves.
How you can put pure practicality before love is beyond my character Woolgraf here. And so I think I just lost some points with him or something. And so again, really polarizing options. And maybe that's, again, because the writers want to create a difficult choice, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's because maybe most writers are unaware of the nuanced views that someone might have, even though they don't affirm those kinds of relationships. The non-hateful, compassionate views that someone might have that does not affirm the pursuit of those relationships, you know. There's just no room for nuance because I think there's no awareness of nuance. It's probably symptomatic of our inability to really have good, open, cool and collected and loving and compassionate and patient conversations with each other when we disagree. All right. Let's see here. So they're level 16. Okay, well, it's just 2 of them, so hopefully this won't get me into too much trouble. Let's see, do I want to use kind of a special thing here? Let's see, there's 2 of them here. So, if I could... That's burning. I could try charming one of them. I doubt that'll work. I'm betting they're, like, in their stats, they're extra committed to each other. So let's do explosion. If that won't hurt one of my friends here as well. Can I get just these 2 guys here? Ugh, man, it kind of zips over there. I want it to be... Oh, how about here? Right here. Can I shoot through my buddy? I think I can. Let's give it a try. Nice. Not much damage, though. Okay. Do I have enough action points to do one more? Okay, that's not terrible. Alright, let's see here. Crawling in My Skin asks, what's your favorite RPG setting? Sci-fi, fantasy, post-apocalyptic? It's not like a heads and tails above the others winner, but I would say fantasy, and specifically the closer it is to a D&D aesthetic, I tend to really enjoy that setting a lot. But I enjoy sci-fi and post-apocalyptic and space. I mean, yeah. Roleplay Cafe says, I did enjoy the original Infinity Engine games, which were pause-based. Baldur's Gate is based on D&D, which is turn-based, so maybe turn-based will be more of a faithful to the source material. Yes, I think that there's real truth to that, but I think it's going to be less faithful to the source material of the games. And I mean, the original Baldur's Gate games, they used 2nd edition D&D rules, so you could certainly argue that, you know, it's not as true to the source material by going real time with pause, but So yeah, I think that you can make that argument. They're being more true to the paper and pencil game in the combat, less true to the video game series that it says it's a sequel to. Adam Calling says, hearing that voice assigned to Eldoras is hilarious. And that's because he's a patron at patreon.com/spiritblade productions, and they get the Skyrim Let's Roleplay series, in which I roleplay as Eldoras, the greatest wizard in the world. I've also played that character in paper and pencil D&D games over the years. I've got a very definitive character and voice in my head for him. All right, this is Vincent, right? Well, let's beef up our attack a bit, and then take a whack at this guy. Ooh. Not near as much as I wanted. Alright. Alright, Eldoras.
Big ugly brute making me do I bet his skull would make a lovely goblet for Jarl's.
I mean, I could do Fireball. But I don't feel like the fire damage was all that great to them earlier. Let me just try the wands. He's double fisting it with these wands right now. Let me focus on this guy. Ugh, that wasn't great either. Alright, well, I'm glad there's just two of them. Alright, Medora. She usually does some good damage for me. Alright, get him! Alright, we're getting closer. Can I get him again? No. Alright, done for now. Wolgraff.
Big ugly brute making me
Let's see, improve damage with bow and cost and precision. Okay. That, well, let me see. What's my chance to hit right now? 96 is pretty good. And I'm close to finishing this guy off. Let's not mess with my precision right now. Let's just take the shot. There we go. Oh! So he's all sad he died of grief.
Then let me call my master's ranks once more.
Okay. Alright, so, dead. Let's get their stuff. Oh, come on. They're wearing all kinds of good stuff.
You know damn well I wouldn't touch anything of yours with a tenner.
Alright. Roleplay Cafe says, what's the highest level Eldoras has achieved in pen and paper? I know he's probably aspiring to be level 100 in time. Certainly. Although, personally, I don't like D&D the higher level you get. Because then it's more about, like, status effects and trying to think more tactically, think ahead to, you know, to buff and debuff, and that doesn't interest me as much as just like lightning, fireball, you know. I just want more spells that do more damage. Anyway, what is the highest he's been? I'm not sure, because I started a new version of him in the game that my son is running for me.
Let the lost die that we may live.
I want to say at least 12.
Is you one of them, those little spits looking for the villages?
Hey, I'll buy that.
What are you doing, lingering around here anyway?
Okay, bye.
Brutilda doesn't tell you a thing, does she? We're waiting to fight the final battle.
Oh, I forgot to start my 45-minute timer. Oops, okay, well. I'm not going to start it now, that'll be way too late.
What?
Ain't they a lovely sight up there, all in a row? Strung them up myself, I did. Each of the little darlings. A sweeter sight I couldn't ask for.
So, you're the executioner here?
I never did much care for the term myself. I'm more of a caretaker, you see. The world's a wild place, unpredictable at best. But here, upon these gallows, there's peace, calm. I keep the order, and my little ones stay in line.
Now, by little ones, you mean the condemned?
Condemned in this life, perhaps. But when they come to rest in my nooses,
their sins are washed away. These aren't thieves and murderers and traitors, you see. After I've laid them to rest here, they're pure as angels. My little angels.
Interesting. So, he's got this philosophy of, like, people being purged of their sins or earning forgiveness, earning purity of their souls or something through being punished. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that some folks believe. Can you perform all the executions yourself?
Most of them, yes. But that's far from my only order of business. Our great Queen Grachilda is no stranger at getting her claws bloody, and she'll not hesitate to pluck out a pair of eyes what looked at her sideways. I handle all the dreaming dears when she's done with them all the same. Whether they're my little ones or hers makes no difference. I'm happy to bring them here to rest among me and mine.
All right, tell me more about these men and orcs.
It should be an honor. Where ought we to start?
What about the dude on the left? Way left.
Paulie came first, the little rogue. A human he was, and Grachilda ordered him hanged while Jarl was out on the hunt. He was the first I got to tack him myself since coming to this town.
Have I tried to buy anything from this guy yet? Oh, hey, I'll buy that.
I'll win this one. Goddess is with you. Feel it.
Even Mermaid Lady. Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. The fussy little dear didn't want to go to sleep. No. Kicked and screamed, he did. But he started to calm down a bit after I strung him up, as I knew he would. And soon, he was fast asleep.
Okay, how about the second guy just from the left?
Oh, my little Tilo. He was a sweet one right from the start. A thief, I think he was in his last life. But he accepted what was to come easy as pie. The guards handed him to me, limp as a doll and shivering with fright. I strung him up nice and slow, so as not to worry the poor dear.
Okay, here's a great question. Roleplay Cafe says, I've never owned a PS4, but I have one on the way thanks to a friend. Do you or anyone here have any recommendations for a first game purchase? Sure, I'll take a crack at it. What can you give me, just like an idea of the games you like? Maybe briefly list a couple genres or some games you played in the past that you really liked? Yeah, that'll be fun to take a crack at. Let's see here. Okay, tell me about that orc there, third from the left.
He was one of Grachilda's. After some impertinent question or other, I believe it was. Impertinent questions. A plague among we orcs they are. Ending more deaths than horn rot these days. Well, Grachilda dispatched him, but it was I who collected the great heavy deer and strung him up here. Grachilda said he'd be a warning to the others, but I think he's a great addition to the family, to boot. He does look a lovely sort of pale green colour, don't he? Like a dusty ancient jade. Beautiful.
Alright, bye.
Doesn't take much to send Grachilda over the edge, does it?
Potent heat.
The greatest threat to the Immaculate would be one of their own.
Warm as fresh apple pie.
You there. Tell me, how's your vision? Any ailments in the liver or spleen? Lost ones are everywhere these days, after all.
Why don't you tell me about yourself?
I am a servant to the goddess, of course. One of the first among her enlightened in Revelon, and certainly the most devoted. I've scoured the region for unworthy souls, and am quite efficiently cleansing the land of lost ones, great and small.
You selling anything? What do we got here?
Too rich for my blood. I fold.
No, nothing interesting. Alright.
How much better the lost serve her as bone automatons. My expertise as a necromancer is unmatched, you know. I've a success rate is nearing 99%.
And what about the other 1%?
They end up with their brains a bit, well, scrambled. You can find such a fellow opining over skulls somewhere around here. One of my more harmless false steps, I think.
What I'd be really interested to see in a fantasy game in particular is someone that is part of an organized religion that is that has some controversial views, but clearly loves everyone that they interact with. Loves them well, loves them deeply, even though they sometimes say things that those people really, really dislike. I don't know that I've ever seen that quite. I think when a person in a monotheistic religion, or even like it's, you know, focusing on one god and a pantheon of gods, which is often the case in fantasy games, the more committed they are to their faith, the less sympathetic they are. Or their faith is just about love, and it's not about any virtues like goodness, righteousness, justice, you know? They often split those up into these extremes. Alright.
Nice hand of cards, that one.
Come, let's have another round before I get too drunk to...
Gabriel Stinson doesn't hesitate. He says God of War for PS4, Roleplay Cafe. I have heard, my impression is that connects with a lot of gamers, no matter their interests. I did not play it all the way through.
I get all the views I
It ended up, for just some very particular reasons, not being the right game for me, but I can see that it was a really well-made game. So, statistically speaking, you probably got a real good shot with God of War. Adams Calling says, if I was getting a PS4, the first games I would buy would be Uncharted 4 and No Man's Sky.
What are you doing?
Yeah, Adam's already a fan of the Uncharted games, I believe. I don't know, Adam, have you played No Man's Sky? I can't remember. Maybe that's just based on its reputation. I would recommend No Man's Sky to a lot of people. What's up with this guy?
Well. What do we have here? Human reinforcements. No need for a supple young kitten like yourself here. My rats will find the villagers in no time at all.
Okay, why don't you tell me a little about yourself? It's a very common dialogue option in this game. Oh, let's just trade first. What do you got? Nothing. All right. Tell me about yourself.
Do you pretend not to know me, child? Surely you stare into my left eye each time you admire the full moon. But play coy if you will.
Okay.
The All-Mother called me here to find a certain tiny herd of sheep missing from her flock. The wolfish shepherd woman, she. I am world-renowned for my ability to search and to find. Why, you might ask, feigning ignorance so that you might hear more of my lilting voice. Rats are always the answer. There's no hole they won't find, no stench that can deter them. No, there is no hiding from a rat, and so there is no hiding from me. I raise them, train them, lead them. I am their king, and my subjects will find those hidden villages in no time at all!
All right. Boy. See, I would get through these things of dialogue so much faster on my own. Tell me more about the hidden villagers.
Matilda doesn't tell you a thing.
Lost lands, yes. Flee the slaughter. Naughty. I'll give them quite the spanking when my rats whisper to me where to find them. Yes, perhaps I'll get my fill of my own private punishments first and foremost.
Okay.
The All-Mother believes those villagers, being the one-time servants of the wizard, will know how to find him. Or at least how to break the enchantments shielding his house. Wicked enchantments.
Okay, I'm taking my leave. I'm going to finish this dialogue another time. I can't take it. I mean, the actor's doing a great character voice. It's just not what I am into when I'm playing this kind of game. I'm just thinking to myself, okay, keep it going. Come on, pick up the pace a little bit. Which is, ironic, I know, as someone who's done a number of voice acting projects themselves. Okay, but we're moving on. To No Man's Sky.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade, a full past audio drama, for free at spiritblade.com.